Hey guys, it's Joey, Value TCG. Hope you guys are having a good day, a good week. So today we are going to be talking about my favorite topic, which is what you see right in front of you. We are going to be talking about booster boxes and booster box prices. And frankly, booster boxes have also started to trickle up. Some of these booster box prices have gone absolutely bananas, and we're going to go over that today. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and we're just going to get right into it. First and foremost, carrying on his will booster box. This is $170 for this booster box. As you can see, prices have trickled down after release, but has really held steady at that 170 mark. Now, one thing to be said here is that we have not seen the reprint. I believe the reprint for this set will be at the beginning of December. I think as of that point, you should really consider picking up a few boxes if you have not already. I am definitely kicking myself for not picking up more than 4 booster boxes from the second reprint, and they were really cheap. MVP had those up for like $115, something like that per booster box. What a bargain. I am hoping though that by the second reprint, and then as we're starting to eke into OP14, we're starting to see releases coming there from that set, or unveils of cards from that set. There'll be more people looking to, let's say, save money for that set. I think that set, maybe as of this point, the reveals haven't been amazing. So maybe less of a meta defining set. Not as great as OP13, but, you know, there is a chance that it takes money away from OP13, therefore you'll see more of these booster boxes on the shelves. That's my hope. I think $170 is quite expensive. I'm looking for something below $150, and I think we can probably get there after the second wave and after the rotation. Premium Booster 02, I made pretty much a whole video about this. I think this set is super underrated, and I don't think it's underrated because people don't realize that the cards in here are great, but I think it's underrated in that Pure BO1, which we will talk about in a minute here, was just such a good set, right? They had the manga god pack in there, which if you look at pricing today, add it all up, it's like if you open one of those packs, you're looking at like thousands, right? Like probably closer to 10,000 than 5,000 at this point, which is insane for a single pack of what's inside, right? But this is still, I think, a really good product. I think people are totally overlooking this product because OP13 is so strong of a set. I think the release schedule is a little bit goofy. They probably should have held on to PRBO2 to the middle of next year or something like that. I don't know why they released it so soon and so close to OP13, but there we have it. Does mean that it gives people a chance to pick this up for cheap. You could probably find this on the secondary market, or maybe in a card show. You could probably offer 160, 150, see if you could get some bites there. But I do think that this is an absolutely incredible booster box. OP12, not much to talk about here. It is not a really great set. I just don't think it was, it's not that meta. Maybe now it's starting to become more meta as we get more sets throughout the other releases, as we're getting reveals as well for OP14. But that said, it's just not that great of a set. I bought like a case of this for, I believe, $90 a booster box, $85 booster box actually. So I got a really great deal on it. But I do think this is going to be a long-term hold rather than anything where we see prices go up tremendously. Not like this one, not like this next booster box. EBO2, so underprinted. So maybe a little bit of story. I'm kind of regretting not going back, but I was in Spain, yeah, of all places, Madrid earlier this year, and I was in a part of Madrid where very close to me there was a card shop, right? So I was trying to see like, oh, like maybe, I can go and pick up some booster boxes. I looked online. They had English versions of EBO2 available for 130 euros, something like that. So like $150 US. It's totally reasonable. And I think at the time prices on TCG, yeah, it was around here, right? So 175. Not the best price, but I think still a very good price. I was going to go back and buy like 4 or 5 boxes and, take those back with me. But unfortunately, they don't really work weekends, and there were random days, or at least a day of the weekend, and then, they didn't work like Monday or something like that. So like the day that I could go, I was like kind of rushing to the airport. So unfortunately, was not able to pick up more boxes of EBO2. But if you can find this for like $200 or something like that, buy as many as you can. This is going to be one of those long-term hold collection points. I have one on my desk right now. It looks really nice. I only have 2 boxes. Should have bought more. And then Royal Blood OP10, kind of like 12 and 08 and probably 14, where prices are, not super meta, not a really great set. The manga in here is okay. Law, yeah, like $500, $520. It's okay. Not the best looking Law either, so not a really great side. 09 though, they kind of rotate, right? Like one really great set, one just kind of offset, one really great set. 09, 240. I think we talked about this in my prior video. At 220, this was really reasonable, but 240 starting to move up, and I think it's still reasonable. So maybe some of you guys are going out there and buying at this price after seeing my video. But I don't think you could regret it, really, at 220, and even at 240, I think this is a very good price. And then Premium Booster 01, $600. So I had one of these available at Collecticon when I was working Collecticon a few weeks ago for $460. I was telling people, guys, this is, I'm selling at market because I don't want to, massively gouge people here. But I was telling people, look, like this is going to go up in price, and they didn't do it. They didn't buy it. So there are probably a few people that were looking at it really intensely and just contemplating. They're probably regretting that right now, because $600 in like 3 weeks is insane work. And again, there's just not that much inventory. People open this up a lot. When you have that like $10,000 pack that you could potentially open, people are going to try to chase, right? So at like $300, $400, even $500, that was maybe a reasonable proposition for people to take on for that upside, right? So not that many, really that many available copies left. Yeah, and then just elevators. I do wonder, let's see. Oh my gosh, this was yesterday. So a bunch of sales all happening yesterday. So, will this go to closer to 800 by Christmas time? There's a very strong chance. And then I just want to say that before we move on to the next one, that something like this is why I am a sealed collector more than a singles collector. I know some of you guys are more singles collectors or graded collectors, and total respect for that part of the game. Probably, especially if you don't have a bunch of like spare rooms available in your house to put, buckets of cards, right? Like Rudolfo from Alpha Beta Investments. Over in the MTG world, like that man, he had like buckets and, bathtubs of Pokemon booster packs, and he just didn't, open those up for 10 years or 6 years or something like that, and everything went from $5 a pack to like $80 a pack in his bathroom. So, I like that. I like that mentality that you get that return, but I do understand that there is a space issue, space constraint for many of you guys. For me as well, frankly, honestly, there's a lot of stuff in my room right now that I'm gonna need to start moving to my storage unit soon, but probably sometime within the next week, frankly. But look, this is the upside I'd play for, right? I have 4 of these booster boxes left. Bought them for like $150 each a year plus ago. Now $600. It's just this is a really good set, right? 2 legends less so, but yeah, even this one's starting to move up, guys. This was 90, 80. I'm not gonna log in, but 90, 80, $90 a booster pack. A booster box, and now it's 110. So good moves upwards. 120 for 500 years in the future. I think this is undervalued, guys. I think this set, they printed a lot of 06 and 07 because this is right at the beginning of when a lot of people started leaning into One Piece. And guys, look. Now Stussy, yeah, like $6, $7, becoming more meta. But look, Boa Hancock, 1.2K for this manga art. Pretty crazy. I think graded in PSA 10 is like $2,200. Yeah, there's a lot of value in this set. Very top heavy, of course, and then you have the Onami, and then you have the other Boa Hancock parallel. And some really nice looking SPs in here. So, and then moving on to Memorial Collection EB01. This one, I think people thought there would be a reprint, and they just never came back and reprinted this set. So it was always just expensive. Yeah, like 100, 120, 125, and then 300 for a number of days, and then boom, we're up to $500 land, 520. I only have 2 left. I don't think I'm going to be able to justify selling it because I think it's going to keep going up. If you want to collect One Piece sealed, and I think a lot of Pokemon money is coming in right now, and other dollars, other games are coming in as well. So yeah, this is pretty good price and probably going to go up. It's just very rare for this set, and this was so meta. People bought this just to open. Look, everything in here is meta, like even today. So yeah, I get why it's so expensive. Now, Wings of the Captain. Finally, this is starting to move up. Devastation finally getting rid of his 54 booster boxes left. But yeah, this is, again, one of those that they just printed a lot of. But this was pretty meta, I think, of a set. Really good set. I really thought this was going to go up sooner. It didn't. But at 90, at one point it was like $100 a box. I was telling you guys, like, time to buy. This is really attractive at this price. Now, I was correct in that it did go up, but obviously, if you had put more money in like EBO1, it would have gone up more. But that said, 100% return, still very good. I think the cards in here are really, really strong for collections. Look, $13.50 for this Zoro card, and there's no copies left. There's just nothing, and it's selling at $13.50, right? Okay, so that is a real copy. After this, it's $1,600 land, $1,700 land, just insane. And then the original anniversary booster box. Look, Devastation is just dumping inventory right now. Like, he's probably, I complain about having booster boxes and stuff in my living spaces, but he probably is just drowning in it. But yeah, $60 or 60 booster boxes left, or 56 booster boxes left. $400 a box. I mean, what can I say? This is I mean, I bet this is moving too. Yeah, it's moving. There's 3 sales just since this morning. What can I say, guys? This is the booster box that you need to have in your collection. They're not making any more of this. This is the first booster box where you can pull this beautiful manga art Luffy. This is also the first and so far only set where you can get a signature Oda. Just absolutely incredible card. I know this art isn't like the best, but he drew it himself. It's unique. You don't see it. We haven't seen any other set since, and probably will be a few more sets before we see it again. So yeah, I think even at $400 a booster box, it is reasonable to have. OP04, not much to talk about here. There's the Boa Hancock in there that's started going up. Yeah, didn't print that many copies of this. 240, pretty reasonable. Pillars of Strength, though. Pillars of Strength booster box, $325. I think they did a very small reprint of this, but it was not obviously meaningful to like today's crowd, right? There's just a lot of people who are interested in One Piece today. So $325, reasonable. And then we have Paramount War 245. I think this feels cheap, guys. They reprinted this, of course, alongside OPO1, but I think this feels cheap. This is OPO2, and you have a chance of getting what. There's 2 versions of this. People don't know this about OPO2, but there are 2 versions of this. If you buy it off TCG Player, there's a chance that you get the one where it wasn't a reprint. So I think the reprint has like a serial code on the side of these boxes, and the original print didn't. I believe that was a distinction. So yeah. If you are able to find these booster boxes in the wild at cons, make sure you're looking for that. I think one day, like right now, TCG Player is not differentiating there. I think one day they will. So just saying. And then Devastation 235 booster boxes. And after him, there's just not much more. So if you can wait it through that 240 number, I do think prices will go up. And then we are going into the heaviest of hitters. I talked about this previously in another video. I've also talked about just online or to friends when it was $700 a booster box 3 weeks ago. I thought this was going to go to $1,000 a booster box by Christmas. I've talked about that. In fact, it's only been like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and now it's $1,300 a booster box. Yeah, I think if you have this in your collection, I would hold on to it. Frankly, there's just really no copies available. I'm gonna have 1 copy available for the Collecticon in San Antonio in a few weeks. But outside of that, I don't think there's going to be. You're not gonna be able to find this in the wild. It's kind of like finding base set Pokemon. But in fact, instead of base set, if base set was massively printed, to be fair, right? Maybe more like Skyridge Pokemon. I think this is going to be more like that. So, yeah, this is, guys, if you have this in your collection, I would hold on to it. If you need cash, sure, like Christmas is probably the time to flip it, to sell it for cash. But this is going to be one of those collection items that you want for a long time. And, same with this one. Blue Bottom OP01 3340 or 5340. What am I talking about? 5340 for a Blue Bottom Wave 1 Romance Dawn booster box. I don't even know what to say here. Prices have just gone absolutely insane. I remember when they reprinted the next wave of Romance Dawn. So the printing schedule back in the day was like they had the alpha wave and then the beta wave that came pretty recently after. And then there was like a third wave before they did another reprint when a bunch of people joined the hobby, like, 6 months down the line. But that third wave, when people saw that the third wave had white bottom, that's when booster box prices for the original wave went from like $250 a booster box to $400 a booster box. And I remember people on Discord saying like, this is stupid, I can't believe this, that there's such a price differential, like blue bottoms at $400 and the white bottoms at $150. Can't believe there's a differential, this is dumb. Well, it is probably not that. It is a little bit ridiculous, but frankly, there are erratas in here in the alpha wave and the beta waves. So there's a point of differential in the cards that you get. So maybe not the dumbest, right? And prices have just gone insane since. So $5,340. Do I think it's going to keep going up? I do. I do think that this is going to keep going up. I only have one in my collection, and that puppy is staying in there. Anyways, last thing I want to talk about is, before I close the video is, I don't know if you guys have watched this this video that came out recently, but this is a guy, his name is Gerald. But he has a bunch of like really, really rare signed signature cards from sports, like sports cards, like baseball, basketball, whatever, football. And then he was like, you know what? He's selling his entire collection to get into One Piece. I would play this, but in fact, I think the video is going to go on too long. But he's selling his entire $70,000 collection, probably worth more than that. But he's giving this guy a deal, $70,000, and he's going into One Piece. He believes that One Piece is the future. Yeah, look, he's talking about One Piece, right? And he's going to the future. He's going all in on One Piece. So I would just say that we are in a very special time for One Piece. Early on this year, it felt like everyone was in Pokemon. No one wanted to be in One Piece. My message to you guys was, I don't think One Piece is ever going to be as big as Pokemon. I still believe that, but I think people are going to start flipping over from Pokemon into One Piece. In fact, I didn't realize that, there were going to be sports people that are going to flip into this as well. But guys, I think this is just going to be a snowball reaction. More and more people get into One Piece. For us as collectors, we're no longer in the winter. We're no longer in the nuclear winter of One Piece collectors. We are going to see more people get in, and it's going to make the game a much more vibrant ecosystem. I think you need both collectors and players in the game. I think the playing side is in an extremely healthy situation. And in fact, as we're starting to rotate into the next sets, as there are the legality of cards, of that rotation happening, I think it's going to make the game even better. It's going to invite more players into the game, and then at the same time, I think it's going to make the collecting side just that much more vibrant. I'm so happy that we're all part of this today. Hope you guys are as well. Let me know what you guys think about these booster boxes. Tell me if you guys have a steel collection, if you have one going, what booster boxes you think it's going to do well over time. Any booster boxes that you think are underrated, like I do with PRBO2. Put it in the comments below, and thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys next time.